Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and this is episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of this wonderful interview with Lloyd Mullings, aka DJ Wah, my knees, if a she's in my knees, he make the number one them song easy. And I had to hold a thought that you had. So carry on with that thought before we go into the next subject matter.
Well, yeah, you know, when I watch these artists on stage, even on TV, right? Because Dennis Al Capone and Ken Booth and these people were appearing on TV as well at the time in the 70s and 80s. And when you watch them and watch their expressions when they're singing, especially Nicky Thomas.
Oh my gosh.
And Ken Booth, you know, you don't see that a lot in the artists nowadays. Those artists are singing, don't get me wrong, artists are singing really nice now and with the feeling, but when you watch those guys, they're really passionate about the music, and that's the difference between the singers then and now, I suppose.
And it's funny you even mentioning that, because I'm going to stick a pin with something as well. I recorded a tune called Love Is, and it's on the Brownie Points album, and it's a song that was done by Nicky Thomas. But the inspiration for me covering that song was actually watching a documentary. And it was, the program was Aquarius. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I remember Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius. Yeah,
and Peter Hall was the presenter of it, and they actually presented a show about reggae music in the United Kingdom and how its resurgence took a hold of the country as a whole. And I remembered that the opening scene was at Notting Hill Carnival, and Aswad was back in Delray, Washington, and he'd done a tune called Jawanda, Jawonderful, and then they went into a place called Gooseberry Studios, which I think was the studios that Trojan Records basically used extensively to record their artists, because they recorded Greyhound, and I think they were showing Roy Shirley, but it was Nicky Thomas, and he was in the studio and he was recording Love Is. And I have to tell you, Lloyd, when I sat down and watched that, he was like streams of sweat was coming off of his face, and his clothes was soaked. And I remember that client, and I don't know if it was his missus, but a woman was sitting next to him, and she was just looking at Nicky Thomas like in awe. Yeah. And I could overs that. I remember it's the 70s. It's the 70s. You know what I'm saying? And when you hear a piece of music and you hear a record, it's very easy to think, yeah, go in there, it's vocal booth, mic one, take one, boom, done. When really you have to put a lot of passion into it. You know what I'm saying? And well, there's very few people that put a lot of passion into it. And Roy Shirley, for one, is
definitely.
He
used to come on in an outfit with the high collar, isn't it?
That's right.
He used to dance and
sometimes I'd be worried about Roy Shirley, because he would be so consumed with the music, you would think that he's possessed.
Yeah, is he cracking up? Yeah.
Is he basically cracking up on stage? But no, it's just the word, sound and power that he feels in the music. Sorry if you can see like a bit of reflection here. It's like the sun's kind of beating down between the clouds, and it's putting a net curtain effect on my face, because my face don't look so.
You know, the other thing that I missed out on talking about the 70s as well is the amount of record labels that there were. Record like Gas, Dr. Bird, Coxsone, you know, the one there with Unity with the two. You know, there was so many labels, and there was a lot of producers in the UK at the time as well. And it was all good music. All good music. It wasn't all coming from Jamaica. It was, a lot of it was produced here.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Absolutely.
So talking about, and that, you know, that memory just came back because we were talking about Nicky Thomas and Ken Booth and those people, how they appear on stage, and you know, their physical, how their expressions. You know, I see one artist that does do a lot of that, Luciano. He does a lot of somersaults and all that.
Somersaults and all of that. I'll
leave that to him.
Leave that to him.
I wonder how he does it with all that army gear and the boots and everything. But you know,
I could never take the chance and do that.
But it's the voice that the people want to hear anyway.
Absolutely, so, absolutely. But big up Luciano.
Big up Luciano, man.
Jepta
it was his birthday, I believe, wasn't it? Recently, I think it was, Yeah,
man, big up. Right, so now we have taken you from a journey of his childhood
up to the BBC.
Right up to the BBC. Now we're going to talk about another facet to his amazing skills. And we're going to talk about him now as a producer for World Beat Music.
And I accidentally, when I say accidentally, came into that. I found that when I was at BBC, and all right, what happened in the end? Why we left the BBC? Now I was there for 7 years, and then they used to have different, like you've got BBC Radio Norfolk, Radio Suffolk, Radio Northampton. They've all got their own programs from 8 o'clock till 10 or whatever into the night. So each one's got their own program at that time. They decide now that they're going to have one program broadcasting from 9 o'clock till whenever, 3 in the morning, going through the whole country. So whoever's got shows then lose them no matter what.
Right.
You know, so it wasn't nothing to do with your program's not good enough or not enough listeners, because they actually said to me that my program was one of the most popular reggae programs on the BBC at that time. You know, so when I left there and went on to Diverse, which I'm on now, I found that a lot of people were ringing me up still, people in the business asking me, can you get hold of this person, or do you know this artist, or can you get this sound? And a man suggested to me, why don't you use this information and do your own works? Like, I goes, how you mean? They go, like producing, you know, producing music. You know enough artists, you know enough musician. So I always thought, yeah, it's something that, it's a progression again, as you said, it's a progression, you know. So I used to play out on the sound, I still do from occasion, but big people thing, you know, I'm not really into the, respect to the Bashment crew, but what puts me off is the lyrics. You know, the beats can sometimes be all right, although they're not authentic reggae. But, you know, progression is what it is, and production, music production. I find that I enjoy that as much as playing out. I used to enjoy playing out the music to people live to make the crowd react. And when they react to your music, you know, so you're doing well. Well, it's the same with the production. And you've got to make good music as well, because there's not enough good music being made. And there's a lot of artists out there who are not getting airplay as well.
Well, yeah, I was going to interject and say, well, there is good music, but you just got to find it.
Yeah,
you just got to find it, because it's not necessarily what some DJs play is regarded as good music, because you don't know how they came by it. You don't know how they came by it in terms of payola, being paid to play it, and being paid to not play certain tunes, because. Ladies and gentlemen, that does happen. Yeah. It does happen.
That's a whole other topic. I mean, I've never accepted money ever for playing somebody's music on the radio. You know, I think that's out of order. You're there to entertain people and give people education about the music. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people exploiting it. They call it hustling the music.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need that. You know. But yeah, there's a lot of music, good music out there. It's just got to get the airplay, you know.
Speaking of which, music that you have now put your hand to in terms of producing. So it'll be interesting to let the people know how you got into the I
got some advice from Ozzy. I mentioned Ribs earlier on. You know, Ribs, as well as the sound system, he also has always done music production, and he lives in Luton now as well, and he's a good friend of mine as well. So he'd give me some ideas of how to go about it. And then at the time, on the radio, Stevie Faith from Jamaica had a tune called Tell It Like It Is, which was a big hit for him. It was a cover of a Boris Gardner tune, wasn't it?
No, it was the Neville brothers.
Which one was the Boris Gardner one? Want to Wake Up With You?
Want to Wake Up With You,
that was the Boris Gardner one. But Tell It Like It Is as you said. But that was a cover, and that was a hit tune for him. And I used to play a lot of his music. And of course, Computer Paul was his manager at the time.
Okay.
And they came to tour over in England, and they invited me to a show that they were doing with Barrington Levy and Cockatee and some other people. And that's when I said to Computer Paul, we were talking, and I said, I'd love to go into music production, you know, but I don't know about how to go about getting the music. And he said, I would do something for you. And I said, oh, would you? And he said, yeah. And he built 2 rhythm tracks for me, which was the Hurt So Good with him. The Love Hurt So Good with him, and the Be Thankful with him.
Okay.
You know, and I was going to get Susan Cadogan, was going to originally sing a remake of The Love Hurt So Good. But in the last minute she didn't do it, so I got Adele Harley and a few other artists on the rhythm, and that's how it all started from there.
Right.
You know, and I saw that people really liked what I was doing, so it encouraged me to carry on and do more. You know. And then obviously we got into the stage where we started getting other rhythms. Ribs helped me with a few rhythms as well. And then I had the idea to do the Parkites rhythm. And I said, Lloyd, I know you know this thing, you know, right? And I know you have the rhythm works company which does great works, because I've seen it over the years, you know, watch the tube clips, the vlogs, and also your music, and also as an artist, because I've actually brought you to Luton to perform
that's right,
as well.
Yeah.
You know, on a couple of occasions. So I asked you to build this rhythm for me, the Parkites rhythm, and it's just gone from there, man. We have China Nicole, who's done a few tracks for me before as well. She did a track for me with Chuck Turner called Got to Be Thankful. And she done another track before that as well for me, which is on an album called Higher. And she's worked with a few producers herself. She's done recordings for King Jammies, for Black Scorpio. Her father as well used to produce music as well.
What's her father's name?
I forgot his surname's Williams. I can't remember his first name. But he's worked with people like Junior Cat and Half Pint and people like that. And she's also done recordings with them as well, and people like Determine. So she knows a few people in the business. She's got a good voice. She works hard. And as you can see, the three of us, China Nicole, me, Lloyd Bill in the music, Gary Sutherland as well.
I have to correct you, because you were saying the Parkites rhythm. It wasn't the Parkites rhythm. It was the Lover Seasons rhythm.
Lover Season rhythm.
So me don't want to take credit. Me don't want to take credit for a tune. Me never even put a note on it. So it's not. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't
the Lover Season.
It was the Lover Seasons rhythm. Yeah.
Which we've got China Nicole, we've got Ian Sweetness with Jesus Loves Me, Ed Robinson, Girl of My Dreams, and yeah, and like I said, China Nicole's got to #1.
Absolutely.
For 2 weeks in a row, you know, and without this man here, that wouldn't happen. Trust me, because the foundation is the music.
Well, you know, the branch is the leaf and the branch and the stem and the root and the fruits, man. It's, you know, it's all part of the same thing.
It's a teamwork thing, and that's what it's all about, what Lloyd was saying earlier on, you know, working together. You know, so I'm really proud of that, because as I've been told, people have been ringing me up and said, do you know that you're #1 on this foundation? Because over the years of working on radio, people compile their own charts depending on what they feel as the individual presenter for the program. But this is a legitimate chart which is based on not sales, but it's based on quality of the singer, you know, the music production, and the popularity of the radio requests for the track as well, you know. So yeah, I'm really proud of that, you know. Well done to everybody that's involved in that, and I hope it can continue and bring out more good music, which I'm sure we will.
Well, let me ask you another question, and it relates to behind the scenes. I've got to shut this curtain, man, because it's Sunday and I'm a fierce. Hold on there. Yeah. That's better.
That's better.
Right. Okay. What I wanted to ask you was in relation to the business element. How do you find the business side of being a producer? Because when people talk about, when me produce the tune and me do this, you know, sometimes, you know, for some people, they think to produce a tune is just taking the money and paying for the session. And I was like,
no, there's a lot of work involved. I mean, even my wife will tell you that. You're playing the music over and over. You got music, you got arrangements, you've got to do the music arrangement. There's a whole heap to do. A lot of traveling, a lot of time consuming, you know, editing, you know, working with the artists over and over, you know, different elements to the music. There's a lot involved, a whole lot involved. You know, it really can't come to mind at the moment.
Well, I mean, how do you find it unbalanced with the creative side?
How do I find it unbalanced with the creative side? I like the creative side, but you know, it's hard work still. You've got to be committed to it. It's not just something that you can just do on the offshoot. You know, you got to be committed. You got to have the heart for it as well. You know. If you haven't, don't bother, because it really is hard work.
I tell you.
And it is teamwork as well, you know. I mean, I like to know that the artist that I'm working with is happy with the music, what I'm putting out before it goes out. Even, you know. I hear a lot of other producers saying, once you get that thing, it's yours and you can do what you want. Maybe that's the case, I don't know. But I like to work with my artists and be happy with them, you know. And
we seem to be getting into a phase where now, you know, quite a few radio DJs, let's say, have turned to being producers. I mean, Senator B for one. I mean, he does put out some quality stuff as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Which kind of shows me that, you know, there is a desire for the music to be, you know, to be broadened, especially here in the UK as well. And I think for what you've done as well. I mean, take me out of the equation because it could have happened any time still.
Yeah.
But for you doing what you're basically doing and to create the interest, you know, of an artist in America to voice a tune for you and be successful with that. Do you know what I'm saying? It speaks volumes. Do you know what I'm saying? For where you've come from to where you're at now.
Well, I think I can't play an instrument, but I think I've got an ear for the music. Like what King Tubby's would say, you have an ear for. You hear them say, jammers will say, "That's the song, right? Do that part there again." That's what's needed, and you need the other person to be able to accept that, and you can accept what they say as well. So it's all, you know, it's all good. I think I've got an ear for the music, you know. And other inspiration that made me want to produce as well is I got to say big up to the late great Trevor T, you know, from Juggling Records. Yeah. Good friend of mine who introduced me to a lot of the record shops that I went to in London to buy music. When he used to be an engineer at Jetstar, he used to invite me that. He told Mr. Palmer, I have a brethren from Luton, you know, make him come buy some music. I used to go there on a Sunday when it was closed, you know, and man said, "What are you doing in here?" I remember Danny Ray bucked me up there one day and said, "You can't come in here."
We have to cut it there because we've gone past the 16-minute mark. Okay. But we're gonna forward with the final episode, and just give our thanks and praises and credits and big shout outs and all that stuff. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.